Welcome to Rise and Relate with Rissa. And I am back for episode 2. And I think it's only fair, y'all, if I start off with what is social work? Why are we even important, and why does it matter to be a black social worker? What is the significance behind it? So our whole purpose as social workers are to improve the well-being and the quality of life of individuals, their families, the groups, and the communities in which they come from. We are trained to work with just about any population that you can think of, whether that be those that are living in poverty, mental health, substance use, domestic violence, homelessness, indigenous people, LGBTQ, sex traffic. Like, we are trained to work in so many different areas in the field. And our goal is to empower and help them overcome so many life challenges by providing support, resources, advocacy, and interventions that will help them, again, get a higher quality of life. We tend to work with the marginalized communities, the disenfranchised, and those that are oppressed. It does not mean that we do not work with the dominant culture, which is, of course, the white cultures, but our primary focus is these different populations. And the work that we do is really important because we do a lot of advocacy and social justice work. So when you think about the Black Lives Matter movement, when you think about the advocacy of who is on the front line when another black person is killed at the hands of police officers, social workers are there. Not only are we there with, like I said, within the communities for those families that are impacted, we are in those schools, we are at those agencies, but we are on the front line of doing work that literally strives to address the system inequalities and injustices that we constantly face. We are, for centuries now, have been working to create a more equitable and fair world by fighting discrimination, oppression, and marginalization. But as you guys know, in 2024, that's something that we are constantly still working towards. It is so important to be a social worker, and not just because I'm biased because I'm a social worker, but because we do provide so much support and empowerment, and we develop so many different programs that people, again, don't necessarily think about because it's not clearly in the writing at the forefront saying, hey, social workers, they were the reason for this program that you guys have. They were the reason for these policy changes. They were the reason that advocated for this legislation. So because you don't necessarily see us on the front page of things, we are literally the ones in the back making these things happen. So we do a lot of prevention work and intervention. So even world crisis that happen, if there's any natural disasters that happen, guess who's going? Yes, you have people that do a lot of missionary work. Yes, you have volunteers of just people that just want to go out and help. You have the community themselves, members coming together when we have nation crises and huge natural disasters that not only impact that community and that subset of people, but it is a cry out for everyone nationwide. And like I said, we create those community develop initiatives to combat those different issues that arises. So to be a black social worker, that is so crucial and important because of the populations we constantly come in contact with. And it does not mean hey, black social workers constantly work with black clients. That's not what I am insinuating. But we work with a lot of oppressed and marginalized. So having that experience ourselves, we're able to truly connect and understand our clients on a whole nother level than someone that might not experienced it or have never experienced oppression. We, and I say we as black social workers, we are needed because our faces alone gives hope to our clients and how they can become resilient when things have occurred to them, whether on an individual basis or within their family dynamic or within their community. We are the voice for the voiceless. And I know that is something that is very cliche within our field, but I find it so true. Because we are social workers, we still have a certain level of positionality and privilege or power, as you might say, over our clients that might not share the same education, that might not share the same work experience, just the same opportunity and access that we have been able to obtain in order to even get our social work degrees and to do the work that we do in the community. So we are constantly like on that forefront for advocating for racial justice and equality within the field and the broader society. And that's why I say that, a lot of times people don't think about what social workers truly do, because we're not, even though we're on the forefront, we're not plastered on the front, the forefront of the news, or that article, or that Facebook post, or whatever it might be, when we are seeing huge movements happening within our everyday life. But we challenge discriminatory practices. So that means within your schools, within your larger institutions, within the agencies, within the systems in general. We advocate for policy change, and we are truly on a mission to work and dismantle systematic racism. And for myself personally, that is my long-term goal, is to constantly do work that is working to dismantle the practices and the procedures and the way our system is structured to make a better quality of life for my people to be able to succeed and to thrive. And at the lowest level, how I do that is through my private practice, being able to first just help Black women. And even though I focus on Black women within my private practice, I do see all kinds of clients from different backgrounds, racial, religion, social, economic. So that's not, Black women are not just the only clients I see, but that is my primary focus. But within that work, just being able to merely educate Black people on what trauma is, and to let them know and to normalize that, like, hey, you're not spazzing out. Hey, you're not just moody. Hey, you're not just constantly irritable, but you're struggling from PTSD. You're struggling from unhealed trauma. You're struggling from grief. Because one of the things that I've learned within our community, especially when you come from a all Black community for the most part, when we see high levels of mental health, it's a lot of just grieving going on. And that comes from this historical history of going through some horrendous times, some horrendous events, and being able to just push through. So in 2024, what I've noticed over my years of working primarily with Black women and Black men is that they have been conditioned to work through some of the most egregious conditions, circumstances, and events. So that's all they know how to do is push forward. So when it's time to say, hey, let's stop, let's pause, let's talk about what's going on with you and why you're losing friends, why your family not talking to you, why you can't stay in a job, why you have so much tension with your kids. It is solely because they are carrying the baggage of epigenetics, generational trauma, unhealed grief, all of these different things that plays in part to why they are experiencing the symptoms or the responses that they are having. So it is with my deep desire and passion and love that, hey, if I can make a mark and I can make a difference, this is where I'm going to start off. And I'm going to start within my community because, again, if I can heal my community, then I can help them release the invisible chains that they have on them so that they can reach their full potential and they can reach their full intellectual abilities and their athletic abilities and their physical abilities, and being able to truly see themselves and who they know that they can be, but question every day because of the system in which they navigate and they have to deal with. So social work, and in all of this, just saying that social work is vital. And I encourage anybody thinking about being in the field, anybody thinking about leaving the field, to stay right here and do the work. Do the work to truly see the difference. And we will talk about what that means in later episodes, because one thing I can acknowledge is that it's not as easy as it sounds to do anti-racist work, anti-discriminatory work. It's not that easy. And to do the work is not that easy when you're constantly against your ethics, in which we have to follow in the field, versus your moral compass and what you know that is right. Your ethics versus just culture and what you understand works within your community versus these ethics that have truly been designed by people that don't understand the cultural aspects of things. And with that being said, yes, CSWE released in 2022, different ethics and core values and practices that we should be doing. But I can say, being someone that's constantly in the field doing that frontline work, that in 2024, we are definitely having more discussions around diversity, equity, inclusion, anti-racism, power. Yes, we're having more discussions around it. But what does it truly mean to see it be unfolded and implemented in ways that are very impactful, ways that you can see the change in that transformative process happening? What does that actually look like, and what does that mean? And one thing we're going to unfold a lot is deconstructing the truth of the things that we say to help us sleep at night versus the reality of what we live. And I'm going to constantly share, like I said, from my perspective and from my lens, my experience and how that shapes how I show up in the work that I do. But the goal is to also have other people come out and connect. And like I said, rise and relate to that experience of the truth of how things unfold within our field, and how there are still barriers even at this level. Yes, we have a little more power and position because of, again, education, work experience than our clients, but how we also are limited in the things that we can do, the things that we can say, the ways in which that we can truly unfold into our authentic selves to really do the work that we can do, because it does come with a tax. It comes with a tax, y'all, and we're gonna talk about the black tax. It comes with a tax on your mental and physical well-being to stand in who you are and to do what you do. But I felt that it was appropriate to just discuss those different layers of like social work and why you should continue to be in this field and continue to work to do the hard work, because it is definitely hard. But it can be so rewarding on the other side of it. And in this field, you definitely have to find a silver lining in order to keep persevering through, so that you continue to be infectionist in the way that you influence and inspire other people to keep going despite their challenges that they have. So you guys subscribe, follow, and I'll see you guys on the next episode. Well, not see y'all. You will hear me on the next episode. All right. And I'm out.